Hi, I'm Catalina.
Hi, I'm Abby.
My name is Olivia Polomeni.
So this is my first semester at the Marine Lab. I really wanted to come here because I'm really interested in coastal ecology, and I figured that really being immersed in the environment by coming here would be the perfect place to do that type of research.
I love being here at the Marine Lab. It is very different from what you're going to experience on main campus in Durham. Something that is really special here is that they prioritize research just as equally as they prioritize your classes.
I took marine science classes in Durham before I came here, but taking them in Beaufort has really given me an up-close perspective on the ecosystems that we're learning about. I get to experience more things hands-on.
I am working on a coral species called Astrangia pauculata, also known as the white star coral, and it is one of the only corals that's native to this area in North Carolina. Something that is very important to study about this species of coral is that they can live without zooxanthellae, which is the microorganisms that live inside corals that give it that bright color. So when it's white, it means that it has no zooxanthellae in it. And something that is happening all across the world right now is something called coral bleaching, which is where the zooxanthellae is being expelled from these corals because of heat stress, because of acidity stress. The zooxanthellae actually is feeding the corals, and so when they're expelled, the corals are dying. And I think what is really interesting for climate science is figuring out what genetic adaptations this coral has that allows them to live without zooxanthellae, because that might be something that you could genetically modify for other corals.
I go out to the different salt marshes in the area. There's a whole lot of them along the inlet system here. And I collect Atlantic killifish, or Fundulus heteroclitus. Atlantic killifish have really strong adaptation responses to different pollutions in the water. They are used super commonly in toxicology research, but I've kind of chosen to go more of a climate change route for this specific project. My lab has a multi-chambered respirometer, which is an instrument that I can put the fish in and it'll measure their oxygen consumption over a given time as a means of measuring their metabolic rates. Atlantic killifish are generally pretty tolerable of a wide range of environmental conditions, but there have been some predictions about how their range will shift over the span of decades with climate change. And since Atlantic killifish are a small bait fish, they make up the bottoms of a lot of food chains and could play a pretty broad role in indicating how overall ecosystems might change with rising water temperatures.
I'm studying how sea grazers and nutrient availability affects canopy cover in marsh grasses. Agricultural runoff is a big problem in marshes and just in general along the coast, and so I wanted to see how that affects marsh grasses and whether or not that's counteracted by the grazers, so the little snails that are often found on the marsh grasses here. There are plots set up that have been set up about a year prior, and it's a lot of cutting grass and then analyzing the grass in the lab. Actually getting in the field and seeing what I'm studying has been really cool, since I do want to focus on climate change related evolution and adaptations in my career. Next semester or in the future, I'm hoping to continue with this project and make it related to climate change and see the ways that marshes are being impacted through things like droughts and increased hurricanes and other natural disasters.
I've always known, as cliche as it sounds, that I've wanted to study marine biology, and I've always known that I've wanted to help save the oceans, especially with climate change.
I've been active in environmental science for as long as I can remember. I did a lot of climate-related activism throughout high school. I knew that that was the career path that I wanted to follow.
I actually had a dream of being a marine biologist since I was probably 10 years old. So part of the reason I applied to Duke in the first place was because of the Marine Lab. Just finding this place has given me all sorts of amazing opportunities to see and do and learn so many things as an undergrad.
I think that something a lot of people are scared to do these days is to go into climate research, because it just seems a little unsurmountable. But every single person that helps out, even in the smallest way, is making a positive change. That's what I strive to do.